Greetings, friends, and welcome to another episode of The Mistake Zone, your weekly dose of our lives and the mistakes within them. My name is Jaren Wade, and joining me, as always, is one of my very best friends in the whole wide world, Matt Alba. Hey, Matt.
Yo.
How are you doing this week?
Yo, Jaren, it's a hot one.
Matt, It's the end of July, and I feel I'm a bit bummed just because I feel like the sun is setting earlier than, it has been since we're in the end of July. But it's been really muggy outside lately.
Yep.
And I don't know, Matt. The idea of the sun setting a bit earlier, but still being really gross outside makes me feel really bad, especially as someone who's trying to, Matt, we're both dog owners here. And we try to walk our dog when the sidewalk isn't scorching hot because obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel that with the sun setting earlier, but it's still being unbearably hot outside. I don't know, Matt. That makes dog walking a pain.
It's that heat wave, bro. It's that heat wave.
Also, lawn care. That's also a pain kind of in this weather right now. But Matt, I know you wanted to talk about, I think, your lawn maintenance. Are you big into lawn maintenance?
Right now, I'm kind of just like house sitting, so I have to water my parents' plants.
Yeah.
And Jaren, I have no idea like how you're actually supposed to actually water plants. Like they said, oh yeah, just like water them every other day or whatever. But we are in a heat wave, so I went to go check the plants on the day that they left, and those things looked messed up. Like, I don't know if they're dead. I don't know if, just giving them some water is going to revive them. But I don't understand lawn maintenance. When I look it up, they're like, oh yeah, you just got to give them adequate water. But nothing ever says what adequate water is. So I don't know if like, hey, maybe I'm drowning these plants. Maybe I'm like, I think I'm giving them enough water, but actually I'm not. And I'm like, oh yeah, just stick your finger in the dirt and see if it's moist. But like, I don't have a real perspective on like how much water is enough water and when is like a plant just done. Do you know what I mean?
I definitely know what you mean, Matt. I think in our neighborhood right now, I think my goal is not to be the worst lawn, like front lawn at the very least within the neighborhood. And luckily for us, there's a student house kind of 2 houses down. So I think we're
so
in
you're
that
gravy.
clear.
You're gravy.
But at the same time, Matt, I'm looking out at the front yard right now. That the grass is dead. It looks dead. And I feel like, Matt, I'm kind of annoyed too, just because, I keep an eye on the weather just because I'm lazy and I rather, if I know it's going to rain, I don't want to like go out and water plants. But I think the forecast has said it's supposed to be, thunder. There's supposed to be like a thunderstorm. It's supposed to be raining heavily. And even in the beginning of the last few days, it really had some heavy overcast. But Matt, the rain hasn't come. And I think that's adding to my whole anxiety towards my plants outside, just because, Matt, I love drinking water. And
water's great.
I assume the plant life in our yards enjoy drinking water too, so I don't want to rob them from the joy of, having water. But at the same time, if it's going to rain, I don't want to go out. But like you, Matt, when I had the hose, at least for all our plants, I'm kind of just spraying it. I'm mentally counting inside my head, okay, this was like 20, 30 seconds of water. Is that enough? Should I keep going? And even though it doesn't feel like I'm watering them for a while, to me, I think that's okay. But Matt, do you have a sprinkler for at least the lawn?
See, no, I don't. And that's the thing that like really messes me up. Because when I go and see other people's like setups, I guess, they just have a sprinkler running for an hour. And that's just like an hour of water for like that one part of like grass or lawn or like garden or whatever. So I'm like, oh, they're giving this stuff like so much water. Is that how much water I'm supposed to be doing when I'm using like a hose? And man, like I don't know. I'm just concerned that like I'm just going to ruin this lawn that my parents have been taking care of this whole summer.
Matt, we bought a sprinkler from Costco. Sorry, listeners, I swear we're going to get into video games and anime adjacent topics in a bit. But Matt, we bought this sprinkler from Costco. One, it has a built-in timer there.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt, the timer goes up to 2 hours, which throws me off.
Yeah.
But two, the first night I set up the sprinkler, it has all these different knobs that you can kind of adjust, how far it goes and, what its coverage range is.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, I spent a good 15 minutes trying to find the perfect range for it to cover like the entire front lawn. So it's a lot of me kind of standing at the perimeter of the yard and saying, okay, the water's touching me here, but I can see some of the water, wet the cement behind me. So, I'm just going to adjust it a bit.
Yeah.
That doesn't take a lot of effort. But when I finished and I got the perfect sprinkler setup just for, the most efficient lawn coverage, I went back in the house and Matt, no lie, I watched that sprinkler for like a good 3 minutes and thought, yeah, I'm proud of myself.
Jaren, you're an old ass man.
I'm proud of myself for plugging the sprinkler into our hose and making sure the coverage is correct.
Oh man.
And Matt, after that 3 minutes, I went to do my own thing. Went back a few times, maybe stared at it for a couple more seconds, just to appreciate my hard work setting up the sprinkler.
Yo, when you optimize a build, Jaren, you gotta appreciate that build.
Speaking about builds, I've been playing something this week.
Okay.
So by the time everyone gets to listen to us talk about, our lawn care procedures, Multiverses should be having their open beta, which starts July 26th. But Matt, have you been keeping an eye on Multiverses?
Not too closely. I kind of just know, like, very loosely that it's a, I guess, cross-universe Smash type game for, I don't even know what universe this is. It's just like a DC? Oh, wait, no.
This is the WB universe.
WB, that's it, yeah.
So Matt, have we as a gaming collective decided on the term what to call a Smash-like? Is it a platform fighter?
I think platform fighter is what I usually hear it referred to as, or party fighter. Like one of those two.
So I guess for our purposes, we'll say platform fighter. But yes, Multiverses is kind of WB's answer to, I guess, this void that has kind of come to gaming. Smash Bros., I think for now it's been put on the shelves. I think we're both in agreement that whatever the next Switch iteration comes through, like the Switch 2 or whatever Nintendo decides to do, I'm pretty sure we're going to see a reimagined Smash at some point. Too much money on the table otherwise, or left on the table otherwise.
Yeah, for sure.
But currently right now, with Smash kind of on the shelf, we do have this space of, I feel like the platform fighter, just given that on its surface is such an really an accessible, Matt, I still can't speak. An accessible game to kind of just pick up and play. And I feel like its party nature really invites people, especially in really big social gatherings, for you just to come in, jump in, find a character that you like or resonates with you just based on nostalgia overall. And I feel with Smash being kind of, retired, so to speak, or on a hiatus, there's really a space here for people not only to latch on to a new entry in this genre, but also create that fanfare, that level of excitement of, okay, who's going to be revealed next? Just because, Matt, I think it's something we've talked about countless times on Saturday Morning Arcade, especially on the road to... Matt, when we did Saturday Morning Arcade, which Smash were we talking about? We were looking for... We mostly spoke about Smash for the Wii U and 3DS, correct?
Yes. I vividly remember us talking about that and you crashing a lobby inside of a chat time. Right.
Yeah. Oh, man, those were some good times, Matt. And yeah, now that I feel like with me, most of my... not most, but I think half the enjoyment to Smash is, that anticipation of who the next reveal is. Who are they going to show off? What character are they going to add to this dream roster? And I know in the past year, we did see Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, which I feel didn't quite get the traction it was really hoping for, even though it did have a prominent, not necessarily prominent, but like a notable developer who did, I think, one of the more stronger indie Smash like platform fighting games.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in terms of Nickelodeon All Star Brawl, it didn't necessarily have the production that people wanted. And at the end of the day, I think that production is kind of the voice actors. I think by launching essentially silent characters with just grunts and whatnot, I think that really takes away from the overall appeal of a platform fighter, just because to me, that seemed a bit soulless when you compare it to, say, something like Smash Brothers, even though that doesn't necessarily have voice acting in it. It feels like it does have that soul that kind of encapsulates everything that Nintendo and all the third party characters really represent. So did you play any of Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, or was that just something that you weren't really into?
Nah, that was something I wasn't really into. And like, to be honest, Jaren, I thought All-Star Brawl and Multiverses were the same game at some point.
I know there was some, discussion over the internet about, oh, this is WB's response to, say, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, or this is the response to Smash Brothers going on hiatus. And I think that's mostly kind of true for the latter, because I would assume that for a game, especially of this scale, of this production, it would have been in the pipe for so long. But we finally get around to talking to Multiverses, which is WB's platform fighter. It came into closed beta this week, and they did the thing where watch a Twitch streamer or a designated Twitch streamer for an hour. You get a key drop, and you're able to play essentially the beta a week earlier before it's open to the public. And Matt, after playing it on and off for the past week, I feel like my biggest issue with Multiverses is more so a me thing, where I think going into it with Smash Brothers sensibilities is really throwing me off, just because, while this is a platform fighter, I think it does enough of its own thing to really create this disconnect where if you go at it like you're playing Smash, you're kind of gonna really have a bad time with it, in my opinion. And you kind of have to get a feel for it. But once it clicks, I think it's a decent alternative. And the fact that when the game does eventually launch, it will be free to play. So I think that once you're able to, if you have a history of the Smash Brothers, or at least are kind of really familiar with that type of platform fighter, once you get past that and you're able to get a handle for it, I think this will be a really solid entry into the genre, and I think it will be able to find kind of its own place within it. So for Multiverses, I think the thing that really throws me off is the fact that it has been designed to be a 2v2 game. And when you focus on trying to be a team-based game, that really makes how you design the characters really different to what you kind of expect from, say, a Smash Brothers. Just because, Matt, I feel like with Smash Brothers, since that's really built towards being a free-for-all game, I think most of them sort of follow the same template. I don't know about you, Matt, but when I look at the base roster of a Smash Brothers game, I'm more or less gonna know how a character will play, with a few subtle differences here and there. But I feel like with Smash Brothers, there's kind of a universal language to all the characters, and it isn't until you get into the DLC characters that you do see more kind of elaborate mechanics. But I don't know, is that something you think about it?
See, I understand where you're coming from, but
Yeah.
I also feel like Smash has been around long enough that they've internalized kind of like an expected, for lack of a word, like an expected like language. And you also have been playing like Smash for basically like a lot of your gaming life,
Okay.
so you know what to expect. Like it's kind of a learned knowledge.
Right.
I don't know if you like what I'm saying. Whereas like Multiverse is still, I guess, establishing what everybody's gonna do based on like looking at them. Like you can look at a character in Smash and be like, okay, they are going to operate like this. They are a heavy, so they're going to do this. They are like, a light. They're gonna have multi jumps. They're gonna like, they have reach with their swords, like that sort of thing, right?
Okay. No, that's a good point. So yeah, I think with me, it is entering Multiverses kind of with that Smash bias. Once again, that is kind of clouding my, initial period with the game, trying to get used to it. But
I just want to be sure.
Yep.
Multiverses, like just gameplay wise, it does operate on the kind of like percentage based like knockout system.
Yes. So similar to Smash Brothers, again, once you damage up a character, they have their life bar. Well, I guess their percentage life, and the higher it is, the more likely you are going to score a ring out.
Okay.
And I think with the default mode, the 2v2, it's the first team to get, I believe, 4 or 5 ring outs. And once you ring out your opponents, the match ends. So I think with me, one of the things that I have noticed is that since it is on the knockout system, not the stock system, which I'm kind of used to from Smash Brothers, I do find that the games go really quickly. And I think for the free-to-play aspect of the game, I think that really adds to kind of that aspect, just because it is one of those, okay, that if I'm going to expect to sit down for 3 rounds and just seeing how the matches go by fairly quickly, I think you can end up squeezing a bit more kind of playtime within a certain session. So I think that speaks to the free-to-play nature of it, where I think a lot of people will have that, okay, maybe one more game mentality just because of how fast the games go.
Oh, true.
But in terms of what I was talking about, that, this game has been designed for 2v2, and that a lot of characters, you don't really then know what their playstyle will be like. I think what kind of threw me off initially is how many of the characters have more support-based special moves. For example, say I was playing as Wonder Woman, her neutral special allows her to do her lasso move, which can not only pull an enemy towards you, but it can also pull your teammate towards you. Same with Rhine Dog, which is one of the Multiverses original characters, where he can attach a tether to you or to your teammate and then pull the teammate back, allowing them to be more aggressive in the air. So I think with Multiverses, a lot of the support-based moves obviously can be used in, say, it also has a free-for-all mode and a 1v1 mode. So there are offensive ways to utilize these support moves in those scenarios. But for the most part, you have moves that buff your opponent, that put debuffs on your opponent. So I think they've really designed these characters to take advantage of the 2v2 mode and knowing how to actually either benefit your teammates or allow opportunities for them to be more aggressive. So I think that's also has been an interesting approach, where me and a few coworkers have been playing like during our lunch periods and trying to figure out, okay, how can I use my abilities to support you? Just because I'm more Matt, we've played Smash with each other for years now. I'm not necessarily that aggressive as a player. And I think in a 2v2 setting, as long as you're kind of partnering someone that might be more aggressive, I think this is where people will be able to find kind of their niche as well, where maybe if they're not so aggressive, they can actually help their partner just to their play style and actually feel like you're contributing more, even though you might not necessarily be securing kills for yourself. So I think that's one of the cool things about Multiverses. But again, there are a few things that really took me out of it, just because I'm so used to playing Smash Brothers for over a decade now. So with Multiverses, you do have your your basic attack, which is your normal moves. You have a neutral stance, and then you can do one of 4 directions, and then they have their air variations as well. I think what threw me off is I'm so used to the smash attacks, where the auto combo is basically neutral A. So you can go towards and then hit neutral smash just to do your auto combo. For Multiverses, the auto combo is associated with side attack. So I think that kind of throws me off, just because I'm so used to hitting it in a neutral state. And when you do a neutral combo string within Multiverses, it gives you, depending on the character, kind of a 2-hit combo. But then the second hit, if you kind of spam it or do it in quick succession, you'll introduce an attack delay. So that can also put you in a disadvantaged state. So I think with also another thing that throws me off is with multiverses, I feel like it kind of reminds me, this is going to be a poor comparison, but it kind of reminds me of like when I play soul games where I need to know where I'm committing, just because if I go in all willy-nilly, if I go in button mashing, I'll be hit with like an attack delay. I'll be opened up, and then, I'm just opened up to being, attacked in return. So I think, I don't know about you, Matt, but just the whole side A or a side attack being your neutral auto combo really threw me off. And I feel like the game itself is really, maybe it's something that I need to get used to, but it's kind of sensitive where I'll be trying to do the side auto combo, but I'm kind of tilting the joystick, so it will end up being a neutral state. But then if sometimes I'll tilt it a bit too forward when I want to do a neutral attack, and then I'll end up doing a side attack. So again, it's kind of trying to get used to the mechanics in itself. Other than that, you have your special button, which you'll have the neutral and all the directional ones, as well as there's no shield here, but it's a dodge button, and you have a dodge meter where the more you dodge in quick succession, then your dodges and your invincibility frames will kind of get shorter and shorter, and then you'll have to refill your kind of dodge meter by getting attacked or attacking. And then finally you have your jump button, which allows you to do a double jump, and then you can reset that double jump with certain moves as well. And other than that, it kind of plays similar to what you expect from a platform fighter. The up special usually does an upwards move to get you, to kind of give you a third jump if needed. And I think one of the things that really threw me off is with a lot of the platforms, or like the main bottom of the level, there are walls. And if you were to kind of miss the platform, and you can actually grab onto the wall and then kind of climb your way back up onto the platform. So I think that threw me off a lot as well. But other than that, Matt, for an open beta, I'm not sure when it's supposed to come out. I think it is sometime this summer. It's in a really polished state. And again, just the free-to-play nature of this, it's similar to the League of Legends model where you'll get a handful of characters for free at the start, and then you can either buy them outright or through doing daily challenges to add to your XP. Of course, there's a battle pass. You'll eventually unlock coins to put towards buying new characters. I know with the open beta or the closed beta, there are a series of starter missions that once you complete, you'll get 2,000 coins and enough to buy a new character for yourself. I think characters range from 2,000 to I think 5,000, with the 2,000 characters being a bit more easier to kind of get a feel for with, and then the more expensive characters are the more, experimental. They're labeled, expert characters just because they have more mechanics added to them. And yeah, each character themselves has their own character battle pass as well that gets you cosmetics. So overall, I'm really curious to see the gaming public really receives this game, just because I feel like, again, there's a open spot in the market right now for this game. The fact that it is on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, platforms that don't really have a high quality Smash, clone or competitor.
Are they cross-platform, like multiplayer, or no?
Yes, it's cross-platform as well. So yeah, I really do think this will be able to carve its own spot in that genre. And just considering this is the WB universe, this grabs characters from Cartoon Network, from WB, from DC Comics. I think it's going to be actually pretty wild. So I think even for me, even if I don't continue on with the game once it kind of releases, this is that, okay, who is the next character? Which franchise are they gonna kind of grab from? I think that's where, I think this can definitely create the same excitement that Smash reveals has, especially if you're into the universes and the properties being represented here.
So for the character roster, right?
Yes.
You were mentioning how it's kind of like League earlier. Are they giving you some like free rotation? I can't remember if you said that or not. I know that you said that they gave you an initial roster of characters.
Yeah.
But is there a free...
From what I've seen, there doesn't seem to be a free rotation. So I guess maybe my League comparison wasn't the best. But yeah, there was, I believe, in terms of the characters that you get off the bat, you got, I guess, Matt, we'll go through the roster, their initial roster right now. And then since this is the weekend of San Diego Comic-Con, they announced 3 more characters as well.
Okay.
So for the base initial roster, we have the Iron Giant, Taz, who is a free starter character, Velma from Scooby-Doo, Arya Stark from Game of Thrones, Batman, Bugs Bunny, Finn the Human from Adventure Time, Garnet from Steven Universe, Harley Quinn, Jake the Dog, Rain Dog, who is an original character, Shaggy, Steven Universe, Superman, Tom and Jerry, and Wonder Woman. As I said, I believe Taz, Shaggy, Wonder Woman, Harley Quinn were some of the free characters that you started with, and then the rest can be purchased with in-game currency, or you can have unlocked. I know there are 3 founders editions, each coming with 10, 20, or 30 unlock tokens for instant unlocks. So yeah, that's kind of the starting roster that kind of gives you an idea of where they're grabbing from. And as I said before, San Diego Comic-Con is happening this weekend. They announced Rick, Morty, and Matt, have you heard of the Looney Tunes character LeBron James?
What?
So Matt, LeBron James from Space Jam fame is also coming July 26th with open beta.
I'm very interested in what his moveset's going to be. Did they show it?
Yeah, there's a gameplay video out there.
Okay.
There's a lot of passing, dunking on people. I think his dunk can be a downward spike, which is pretty cool.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
that makes sense.
This is kind of the roster that we're working with. And when I finished my starting missions, I unlocked Velma as my, the first character that I purchased, Matt. Velma kind of reminds me of Phoenix Wright from Marvel vs. Capcom 3, where some of her moves spawn evidence on the battlefield, and then you collect evidence to fill up your evidence meter. And then once you build up your meter, you can press down special to call a cop car to come into the stage, and then kind of drive horizontally to pick up your opponents. And I think the flavor for that is they're supposed to kind of reveal the caper to be like Old Man Jenkins or something. But this is the thing where I think with the Velma and even the Iron Giant, where you really need to kind of read up about their mechanics and their moves, just because I think from a visual pick up and play standpoint, I don't think you'll really understand the mechanics right out the gate. Just because even when I summoned her cop car, I didn't know what to do. The cop car was sitting there. Do I attack the cop car? Do I make it explode? Can I ring them out from inside the cop car? And I think that kind of relates to the support moves, where if you don't necessarily know what your properties are, you're kind of just spamming and not necessarily adding to the fight. So I think that's another thing where, even though it is a platform fighter, I think a lot of players will benefit from kind of just reading up on what the different moves sets are, what each of the characters can do, and even if you are in a 2v2 setting, how you can actually use that to support your partner. I haven't really done much 1v1 or free-for-all, so I think, again, that's just something that I'm curious, where a lot of these characters do seem to be designed for that support system and how they'll really fare in a more free-to-play kind of scenario.
Would you say that some characters actually, I guess, gear more towards support or towards, I guess, offense than other characters? Or would you say they're all, decently balanced?
Okay, so essentially Harley Quinn was another character that I'm playing as, and from my initial playing with her, I don't think a lot of her specials really add to, say, a support role. Then again, she does have, a sticky bomb equivalent, or she can place a landmine trap. So I guess that can technically be support in some way, but I think there are more characters that have more aggressive move sets in comparison to, say, something like a Wonder Woman, where I think her role is kind of a tank, so she's kind of in between, but she has that lasso, which again can either grab your opponent or grab your teammate to get out of unfavorable situations. So I think so far from what I played, there seems to be kind of a mix, but I think it is, since it is kind of a platform game, I think a lot of the characters' movesets in themselves are more geared towards that play style. But
I see.
I think with a few of the characters, say their down special might be something that is more akin to a support move. So yeah.
Actually, when you decide to like buy a character, what information is it actually showing you? Like, is it showing you their moveset? Is it like giving them any kind of I guess like labels of like, oh, this character is a close range character or like a bruiser or like that sort of thing?
There are different character classes. So, you do have tank characters, you have assassin characters. But what I actually like about Multiverses, and maybe this is something I should have brought earlier, is that they have their training mode called the lab. In the lab, you can pick any of the characters and any of their cosmetics as well, just for you to get kind of a feel for them. So I think as a free-to-play title, that in itself is really smart, just because you're able to kind of take them for a spin, set up a CPU dummy, and kind of get a feel for their play style there. And I think that will really help with, I guess, the monetization model as well, just because I believe you can also pick any of the costumes as well. So I think you can kind of get a spin on the character, at least in a controlled environment, before, you really commit an unlock token, premium currency, or, the free to play coins to it. So I think that's really cool.
Can you buy the costumes with the free to play money or no?
I think a lot of the cosmetics I've seen so far have been from the battle pass, and the costumes are either from the premium track of the battle pass, or it costs like the premium currency to unlock.
I see.
So
Okay.
I think that's something also to kind of keep an eye out. The final thing is, each of the characters themselves, you can equip. I think so. Essentially, each character can also have loadout, where when you progress in a character's, I think, leveling tree, not necessarily the battle pass, but kind of each of the characters' like player level. The more you play with them, the more levels you gain, and then you can unlock different passive abilities or kind of like add-ons for your characters. For example, saying, oh, this add-on gives me a triple jump, or this one makes one of my moves for my specific character have, an extra invincibility frame or plus 5% damage. Or if it's a universal add-on, if both me and my partner have this, instead of increasing this property by 4%, it will increase by 6%. So I think the add-on system I'm really curious about, just because I think that, again, can add to how you play a character. But it's also something that, one, would need to be coordinated by you and your partner, but two, I'm curious if that's something that will be allowed for tournament play. I'd assume that since this is going to have, an esports aspect to it, or that's something that the developers want to explore, that these add-ons would be designed for and balanced around that. But I don't know, Matt. When I saw the loadout screen and the fact that I had to unlock the loadouts, it really gave me Death by Daylight vibes. But I think just on the surface, it wasn't really something I was that into. What do you think kind of an add-on system like that?
I think that's actually kind of interesting. I just want to make sure you were saying like those loadouts are, or I guess the progress towards those loadout or add-ons, they're tied to a specific character instead of like universal?
Yeah. So essentially, say I'm level 5 with Taz. I have like a few add-ons that I can equip to him. Well, my friend, he's like level 12 Tom and Jerry, and then he can have like a full loadout with like different add-ons. So yeah, the more you increase your character level, the more add-ons you'll unlock.
Okay. I mean, I think that's a very like interesting thing towards esports and I guess like customization, because depending on what what the add-ons are really adding, I think it's a good way to make a character that maybe you didn't like at first more playable for you, or even enhancing a character that you like playing as already into more of a style that like you're more comfortable with. That makes sense. And yeah, I mean, like they have something.
Right.
They have like the rune equivalent, and I guess like
Okay.
League. Just going back to that comparison.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Runes is something I should have compared it to then. But yeah.
I'm guessing that when you're in game, it shows you what your opponent's like loadout is.
Yep. So the flow of it is you pick your character and then you can pick your costume and then you pick your loadout as well. And before the match starts, you'll see all the loadouts, but I guess at that point you should also know the different icons and what they do. So like any fighting game, there's a lot of studying to be had if you really want to kind of understand the mechanics, understand the matchups. But I think for, the party's setting, I don't think really that might come into play.
I'm just like interested in seeing how, if this does go competitive, how I guess intense or intricate the counter picking
Right.
is going to be, or if they're going to go into like, kind of like draft ban system. I don't think Smash ever went into that, did they?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, that'd be wild to see in a WB game.
But yeah, Matt, we've been talking about like the mechanics, some of the ins and outs of it, but I think as I said before, Multiverses really fills in that spot of wanting to know who the next character is, and
yes,
kind of going through that base roster. Kind of what are your initial thoughts of who's being represented right now, who they've put in for their initial roster?
I think it's a pretty interesting initial roster. Like looking at that list, I think, okay, what is Rain Dog? Because I guess that's the only character on here who I don't recognize, because it is, like you said, an original for Multiverses.
Yeah.
This is just a like superhero dog or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really. I haven't fought a lot of Rain Dogs, and I haven't really played as him, but it just looks like an original character. He seems to be, to me, he gives like the vibe of like, oh, we're in kind of a more natural world. Here's like one of the critters or the animals you would find there. That's the vibe I get from Rain Dog.
I just googled a picture of this dog. This did not look like what I expected to at all.
What were you thinking Rain Dog to look like?
I was expecting, I don't know, a normal like looking dog with like a cape or something.
Right.
And I'm looking at this picture right now, and I guess that's where the rain comes from, because it has like reindeer horns, and it's like a magical kind of like green dog.
Yeah.
But no, that was not what I was expecting. But looking back at like the roster, I'm kind of surprised to see Velma on there for some reason.
Yeah.
Like I understand that like it looks like a lot of these are kind of paired off. Like you have two from Adventure Time, two from Steven Universe. I guess you can only have the one from Iron Giant, because like who else are you gonna put in from that series? But you have like two from Looney Tunes, and
yeah,
I don't know who else you would want to put in from Scooby Doo other than Shaggy. I actually wait. I don't get why they didn't put in Scooby Doo, unless Scooby Doo is like beside Shaggy when you play as Shaggy.
Scooby Doo is not in the game.
I guess Rain Dog is maybe falling in the Scooby Doo niche, but when I say Iron Giant, how big is Iron Giant? Like, I'm wondering what
He's actually pretty big.
Okay.
And there was actually a video coming around, like, floating around the internet, where if you are on a team of two Iron Giants, you can kind of combine for, like, some super form. So I'm really curious to see how that works. And maybe sometime this week, me and my friend will try to... but that would require us to both buy Iron Giants. So I'm not sure if I can verify that on my end. Because, Matt...
Mm-hmm.
I might be saving up for that LeBron James. It's too memey for me to pass up.
What is okay? I need to know I need to look at a picture of. Does LeBron James in Multiverses look realistic, or is it like a cartoon Multiverse?
It's kind of like a cartoony. Matt, did you watch Space Jam 2?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Remember when he was in the animated form initially when he entered Toon World? Yeah, it's really reminiscent of that style.
Man. Do you think there's something in the contract where LeBron James has to not be a low tier character?
Matt, I forget who's voicing him, but LeBron James doesn't voice LeBron.
Wait, LeBron James doesn't voice LeBron James? What kind of wild ass?
I should look this up, but
if I was famous enough to be in a fighting game, I think I would be that asshole who's like, in contract, I can't be a bad character. I have to be at least mid tier.
That's kind of on topic, but I remember listening to like a few wrestling adjacent gaming podcasts in the past. I think previously in a lot of the different embargoes for WWE games, you couldn't have like Triple H be put in a more in like he had to be kind of the more offensive character or the one looking like doing the moves, but he couldn't necessarily have moves done to him in coverage. I think something like that is kind of wild to think about in embargoes and kind of contract stuff like that.
That makes sense.
But Matt, since we're here, as I said, one of my favorite things about Smash is the idea of the roster. And there's a leaked list, some of it coming from files from that were data mined, and I think some in terms of speculation. Matt, would you like to go through the current leaked list of multiverses and get your feedback on it and see how this kind of makes you feel about the game coming up?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So Matt, this leaked list reads Joker and Raven from DC.
That makes sense. Those would be good like characters, I think.
Yeah, I think Joker and Raven are really good choices, especially Joker being the iconic villain, and then Raven. Yeah. I think Raven is one of the more notable. This might be controversial, but I think Raven's one of the more notable, like Teen Titan characters.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Okay, so we have Gizmo from the Gremlins.
What?
Marvin the Martian from Looney Tunes. LeBron James from Looney Tunes, Space Jam.
I forgot that like Gremlins was a WB property.
Yeah.
Gizmo was the evil one?
I think so. Matt, I'm not versed in Gizmo and Gremlins lore, to be honest.
Okay.
We had Rick and Morty, Scooby-Doo.
Okay.
I'm going to butcher this name because I don't watch it, but Daenerys from Game of Thrones, the Hound from Game of Thrones, the Wicked Witch from Wizard of Oz.
What? Godzilla.
Oh,
okay.
Johnny Bravo.
Oh, holy crap. Johnny Bravo's a good pull.
Fred Flintstone.
Oh, Fred Flintstone's
yeah, Johnny Bravo's a good pull. Matt, Samurai Jack.
Oh, damn.
The Powerpuff Girls as one character.
Oh.
The Animaniacs as one character.
Oh, what?
Duck Dodgers and Daffy. Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. Ben 10.
Oh, that's good.
And Ted Lasso from Ted Lasso.
What the fuck? Ted Lasso?
Yep.
That's
the coach. So
those are some good pulls, actually.
Yeah, how does this leak roster sound to you?
That sounds actually kind of interesting. I'm interested, I think, in knowing how Powerpuff Girls and Animaniacs are gonna work.
Right.
Because you said like the three of them are all one character, and I'm kind of wondering.
Do you think it's like a stance thing, or do you think it's something similar to the Ice Climbers?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was wondering if they're going to be Ice Climbers-esque or Pokemon Trainer-esque.
Right.
Or possibly that one, the Lost Vikings from like HOTS.
Oh, that's a good
point.
Which
would be wild as well. But like those, I feel like Powerpuff Girls has to be stance-based. But I feel like Animaniacs would probably be, if I had to, pick between the two, and like, I think Animaniacs would more lean Ice Climbers based if I had to imagine it. Scorpion's like an interesting pull as well. Ben 10 is definitely Pokemon Trainer-esque. Like, it has to be Pokemon Trainer-esque of just between like form switching. And I'm interested in seeing what forms they're going to give him.
I'm not actually that versed in Ben 10. How was it as a cartoon for you?
I enjoyed Ben 10 as a cartoon. Like, it's a good I guess it's a good merchandise cartoon just because of how many form switches he does. And I've always liked I guess like monster based cartoons, kind of like Pokemon, Digimon, like that sort of thing. And Ben 10 scratches that itch of being able to transform into like, I think it was like 10,000 different types of aliens. Not across like in the whole series, but like that was like the whole gimmick. So yeah, I'm wondering who they're gonna put in for Ben 10.
Right.
Yep.
But yeah, this was the standard leak list that's going around. I know I saw some variations that had all these listed, but then also mentioning King Kong, Neo from The Matrix, and Sub-Zero. But yeah, overall, I think this really does fit in with my excitement of just seeing who the add next. I think when you talk about adding property or characters like Ted Lasso, the Wicked Witch, when you kind of grab from Game of Thrones, and of course we have LeBron James in the game, I think those are the type of left field picks that I'm most excited to see now. Not only just to see how much attention they put into their gameplay, their moveset, and how much they really do pull from the source material, but I think if this is just, grabbing from the WB universe, I think what really excites me about Multiverses is how they kind of pick apart or pick from the properties that you really wouldn't expect to see represented in a game like this, just because, when you tell me, okay, it has Batman, it has Superman, it has, the standard DC characters and even the standard Cartoon Network characters, I think, that's in the realm of what I expect. But it's when you kind of grab from the different properties that aren't necessarily animation based, and you're kind of making them fit into this style, that's where I kind of get excited. Just because it's just absurd to me. And I think for a platform fighter, especially when you're trying to reveal really or different characters, I think you really have to lean into the absurd nature of everything.
Dude, Ted Lasso is like such a wild pull.
But yeah, Matt, that was kind of my short time with the closed beta, us going through the roster and the leaked roster. Again, I know we spoke about it in relation to Skate last week, but the game being free to play, it being a platform fighter, and then its kind of initial roster and the supposed leak roster, is this something you can see yourself checking out?
I'm actually far more interested in it now after this leaked list, because I really want to know what's up with LeBron James and like Ted Lasso and the Animaniacs and Ben 10 and Johnny Bravo, actually a lot.
Johnny Bravo, when I saw that on the leaked list, I think that instantly seeing Johnny Bravo like sold it on me. And then I started thinking, okay, what other, Cartoon Network shows of my youth, of my yesteryear can show up? Because when I see Johnny Bravo, I of course expect to see, Dexter and Dee Dee at some point.
Was Freakazoid a WB property? I feel like he would fit in, but I don't know if he's relevant enough.
Yeah, I think Freakazoid's a WB property. Yeah. But yeah, Matt, I'm really curious to see what characters end up being here, who the left field picks are. But again, considering it's a free-to-play game.
Jaren.
Yes.
WB translated the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. Right? Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a WB property, like, at the very start of at some point, right?
I'm trying to think. Man, Matt.
WB, yes, Kids WB was where Yu-Gi-Oh! was airing at the time. And if they can get Yu-Gi-Oh! Into Multiverses, I'm 100% in. I will pay money to use Yugi, or I don't know, the Blue Eyes White Dragon or something.
That would be crazy, man. I don't know, Matt. I think just as a spectacle, I'm really excited. But again, I'm also curious about the free to play nature of this, and since it is, I don't know about you, Matt, but the thing that really solidified Smash in my memory is the fact that it was the party game, and I'm really curious how this will be, I guess, as a continuation from our Skate conversation from last week, especially when you have a Founders Edition that costs like $120 worth, which also gives you like 30 character unlocks. I'm just curious how they'll handle the offline nature of everything. I think mostly if the service were to end at some point. I think this is just remnants of what we discussed last week, and how I kind of said, in our lifetime, I really don't recall a game that I was, really invested in going like shutting down and becoming inaccessible. Matt, I totally forgot about Marvel Heroes, their Diablo-like Marvel game.
Oh, yeah.
And man, I was really into Marvel Heroes, and I totally forgot that shut down. And I think $150 that went into character purchases and cosmetics are just gone now, which is actually wild to think about. But yeah, Matt, I don't know, maybe I'll check in with you next week to see if you played the open beta and if we got our hands on LeBron James. But yeah, I'm really curious about the future of Multiverses. And again, I'm really impressed by the production, the care that seems to go into like the move sets, even how some of them play off the meme aspects, just because
Oh yeah.
Shaggy has a move that buffs him up, kind of like the Ultra Instinct or the Super Saiyan Shaggy memes that are out there. So it really does seem like the character or the developers do care about the source material, both officially and kind of how these characters have been adopted by the internet as a whole. So yeah, I'm really curious to see where this goes. And yeah, Matt, with open beta starting on the 26th, is that something you might check out this week as well?
I think I will actually. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
26. That's that's in a few days. Yeah.
All right, if you want to do some 2v2, Matt, let me know.
Yeah, I will.
We can fight bots because
okay,
I still get anxiety facing real people.
There's no MMR yet, right?
Not yet.
Okay, because that means that we can just get matched against like people who are really really good instead of just fighting kids like I want to.
Matt, some of the combos are insane right now, and I'm here struggling to do the auto combo because I still think the game's Smash Brothers and going into attack delays.
Damn. Does this game have a tier list yet?
Yes.
Damn, who's high tier? Who should I play, Jaren?
Apparently, so Matt, I really like Taz just because his tornado move is really spammable. I think in a 1v1 scenario, it's really easy to dodge, but when you're in a free-for-all or like a 2v2 setting where it's really chaotic, Matt, you can throw that side special willy-nilly. I think he has like an actual mechanic where you can season your opponent and eventually turn them into like a rotisserie chicken that runs around, and your neutral special is like you eating your opponent, but it's like a grab. But Matt, who cares about that when you can just spam side special, do your tornado, and get a kill confirm like at 100 plus? So,
well, Jaren, I'm looking at two different tier lists. One tier list has Iron Giant in S tier. The other tier list has Iron Giant in F tier.
We're still in its infant stage, Matt. But yeah, I'm really curious to see what you think of the game, just because I know you have a better... Matt, I'm not good at Smash, and I know you're pretty good at Smash, so I'm really curious just to see how you kind of warm up to this game, if it's for you. I think we can have like a tiny update next week for our Mistake Zone corner. And I know Mark, friend of Saturday Morning Arcade, he's been putting in some time as well. So hopefully, down the road, we can get him back and just get his thoughts on Multiverses as well. Speaking about multiverses, and I guess collabs in general, let's briefly step into the Mistake Zone. I personally haven't been watching much anime this week. I feel like that's something on my to-do list for next week, just so we can honor the fact that this is a gaming and anime adjacent podcast. But there was a piece of news that I wanted to bring to you this week. This comes from comicbook.com, specifically their anime section. And this is from one of the top directors and producers at Studio Trigger, Hiromi Wakabayashi. He, during Anime Expo this year, he was doing a Q&A, and he talked about how he admits that he's obsessed with Fortnite and he would like to do some designs for the game. He has a few ideas that he wants to chat with Fortnite, specifically about designing a battle suit, but also other skins that would be fun to design for the game. And this kind of led to speculation that, Matt, Fortnite, we all know it's such a juggernaut right now. It's essentially kind of the king of collabs in a sense, where I was talking to a friend of Saturday Morning Arcade the other week, Julian, the professor, and how where if you were completely new to Fortnite, you installed the game and then went to the store page, you would be notably confused, especially if you were to go right now, Matt, first time Fortnite player. If you were to log into the store right now, you could buy a LeBron James skin. You would see 8 tabs full of DC characters, 3 tabs full of different summer skins. This is the game that has done collabs with Marvel. You can play as RoboCop at one point. You can buy characters that wear NBA jerseys, that wear NFL jerseys. Like, this is essentially this is, to me, I compare Fortnite, especially the Fortnite of 2022, as the closest thing to a digital toy box where you're playing with your different action figures, where even most recently we've had 2 Naruto collabs. Based on the Datamine leaks, there's going to be a Dragon Ball collab within the next few weeks, possibly tied to the movie. I think Goku, Vegeta, and Barris. I don't know how to pronounce his name, Matt.
I think it's Beerus.
But But those are 3 of the 4 characters that are supposedly coming to Fortnite. And I guess now with, people talking about a Studio Trigger collaboration sometime in the future, or at least that's the hope, we can potentially see characters from Kill la Kill, Little Witch Academia, Darling in the Franxx, SSSS, Gridman, or BNA. But yeah, Matt, I think as we sign off on the Mistake Zone for this week, first, are there any properties from Studio Trigger that you can definitely see coming to Fortnite or would make a good Fortnite skin?
I mean, I'm just thinking about the ones that you listed. I think the one I would want the most is Gridman, but I also think that that's the least likely one because I feel like that wasn't a very popular property.
Right. When I saw this kind of news article popped up, I think immediately I thought, of course, 02 from Darling in the Franxx. I think if this collab were to happen, she would be one of the 4 skins, of course, to come out. I don't know. I feel like in terms of character popularity, 02 is someone that I do see brought up a lot still. And I feel like her overall aesthetic, whether it be her battle suit, whether it be her casual wear, that really lends itself to how Fortnite characters are usually designed. And of course, how at least in terms of the Naruto skins, each of the skins in the game have 2 different styles. Usually their younger self and then their older self as well. So I think with 02, she's the perfect fit for Fortnite in terms of the selectable cosmetics for her, as well as I guess just overall look lends herself to kind of the environment. But yeah, Matt, looking at the Studio Trigger list, does anything come up or stick out to you?
I think the only thing that really sticks out to me that we haven't already mentioned is it looks like they're doing season 2 for Panty and Stocking.
Right.
And I feel like those 2 characters should easily fit in, but I don't know if they're appropriate for Fortnite, considering how I don't know if all ages is the correct word for Fortnite, but
I don't know, Matt. This game has the Predator. It has the Demigorgon from Stranger Things. It has Kratos from God of War. It has the Gears of War character. It has Marcus from Gears of War. So
that makes sense. Kratos uses guns. I mean, I guess everybody uses guns. Man, I really can't wait for all the videos and just memes of just Goku shooting a gun. It's gonna be good. When the Naruto ones came out, those were so good.
But yeah, I think as we close off the Mistake Zone this week, Matt, so we spent this whole episode talking about multiverses and kind of the love, or not necessarily love, but how attentive the developers have been to the source material for these characters that we see through their moves, and then through their cosmetics. Same with Smash Brothers, the ability that the team put into translating these characters into this fighting game. You can really see the attention of detail that they pay to it. And then on the flip side, I also listed all the different properties, all the different collabs that have come to Fortnite over the years. And again, now I kind of see Fortnite as this kid's toy box where it is just a bunch of different action figures that you mash together, that you create your own gun fighting league or whatever. So Matt, as we close off the Mistake Zone, I want to ask you, does the type of collabs that Fortnite does, this collab in general, where, hey, look at this guest character doing what our game does and not necessarily grabbing from its source material, it doesn't really have anything unique to it. It is just essentially a puppet, an action figure, a doll for you to do what the base game does? Or does these types of collabs do anything for you? Just, having skins essentially.
Right now, I think I'm far more accepting on them. It's kind of just a good meme to see, hey, Goku with a gun, or Beerus and Vegeta, shooting each other with guns and stuff like that. But I can definitely see how people wouldn't be into it, because I'm pretty sure that if you asked me this question, and we were I don't know, teenagers right now instead of old men, I would be far more butthurt about it. Yo, why is Goku using a gun? This isn't my Goku. You know what I mean?
No, I totally agree with you, Matt, where I think this is kind of an age thing for me. one, I play Fortnite like every day. Sorry to all our listeners out there. But two, it's one of those things where, yeah, I feel that growing up when I was kind of more invested in the source material, where just to kind of see them being treated anything less, I think I would find more kind of insulting as a fan because, essentially we're finally going to see Superman to be able to fight Goku in a game, but at the same time, it's not how we all perceived it. It's literally two action figures like going at each other with like their toy guns. So I feel like with this collab, the joke is, or the sentiment is, every day we're one step closer to finally seeing the ultimate showdown. Remember that video from back in the day, Matt?
Yeah.
With every new collab, we're one step closer to finally seeing that in modern media. But at the same time, I think considering, all the current bias against Fortnite aside from, the general gaming public, I think when I think about Fortnite and all the different collabs, I think it's cool kind of to see them do wacky things. But at the end of the day, it is kind of just playing with action figures. It's not that meaningful of a collab just because there is no real source material being lifted. Sure, you get references in the skins, in the descriptive text. I know depending on how big the collab is, you might have a big in-game mechanic, whether it be, I can pick up a lightsaber from if I killed Darth Vader on the map, or there are Spider-Man web slingers that I can use to zip around the map as well. But at the end of the day, I think collabs where it's like purely just the skin, I think they're good for a laugh, but at the same time, I think that's how you're able to kind of sign off and get so many different skins, just because with something like a Multiverses, with something like a Smash Brothers, that attention of detail takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to actually implement and, execute correctly. So I think for what Fortnite is, I'm okay with that type of collab, just having skins, just because that you're not going for, the source material. Yeah. You're not necessarily going for, proper representation of these characters, just because to me, Fortnite is, as I keep saying throughout, this last segment, it is your toy box. This is where you go just to see, as we said, Goku having a gun, Naruto flossing, or Darth Vader riding a wolf and then chasing down, a lifeguard or something like that. Like it speaks to how insane this thing is, but at the same time, I feel like it's known quantities what you're getting into. Sure, it might not be the best representation of a character, but I honestly don't believe you're going to Fortnite for that. And that's why I'm kind of glad something like Smash exists, something that like Multiverses exists, and even Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. I think it makes those type of collaboration efforts really more special, just because you can really see the attention to detail that goes into it. You can see, okay, these could potentially be fans actually designing these characters. And I think that's what makes it more special. So yeah, at the end of the day, I think I agree with you, Matt. If you were to show me this like 5 years ago, I'd probably be pouting. But like right now, I think if you know what you're getting into, then like I don't mind the collab. But at the same time, I understand what it is to the Fortnite world, and I think for what it is, I think it's fine. If the whole goal is just to cram as much properties as possible just to attract like the most amount of people, I think that's fine. I think it just makes when the do have that attention to detail paid to them in like different properties, I think that just makes that more special. And it and I don't know, Matt, I think in the future, I think something like a Smash, something like a Multiverses will be kind of few and far between, just because even though I have no real qualms about something like a Fortnite, I think that's the more easier of the two. And because of that, we'll see those collabs just in general throughout like different games as well. And I think that attention to the detail will be only reserved for, the special cases, like where you can actually pay that attention. So that's kind of my view.
I was thinking the opposite, actually. I thought, like, as time goes on, we're going to get way more of these collab things.
Like, as full products?
Yeah.
As opposed to just, like, simple skins?
Yeah. Because I was kind of, like, viewing it kind of like Smash or Fortnite. One of those two is the Netflix of party collabs. And then, like, Multiverses and the other one are like, Nickelodeon are like, oh, here's like Apple TV, and here's HBO, and like I think everyone's gonna do their own sort of thing, once they have the properties, and like, yeah, I don't know, I can see that happening.
I guess we'll see, Matt. I guess we'll see. So Matt,
mm-hmm.
Another episode of the Mistake Zone in the books. Mm-hmm. Once again, it's glad to be back.
Yep.
I'm glad to be able to get with you every week with our friends out there on the internet, Matt.
Same.
I promise for next week, I'll try to talk less and actually watch anime. So we can continue to be our gaming and anime adjacent podcast. Mm-hmm. I hope to have an update on LeBron James Multiverses, but there are some other games coming out. I know the Hot Wheels DLC for Forza has also come out, and that's something I do want to check out as well.
I mean, Jaren, July 28th on Epic, Lawn Mowing Simulator is going to be free. So, you can pick that up.
Matt, are we committing to playing Lawnmower Simulator for a bit not a bit, for a segment next week?
I mean, I'm down. I'm definitely going to claim it.
Okay, Matt. We'll see when we get there. We'll see next weekend where we both stand. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Matt, mm-hmm. I want to thank you, as always, Matt, for joining me this week and listening to me poorly talk about Multiverses. And again, I want to thank everyone out there for joining us here in the Mistake Zone. I promise there will be some more anime next week.
Mm-hmm. No, probably not. Probably not.
We'll see. We'll see.
The week after that for sure. But next week, it's kind of iffy.
Next week, there's still going to be some LeBron James next week, though. Hopefully. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Not committing yet. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Matt, that has been the Mistake Zone for this week. And please, Matt, take it away.
This has been the Mistake Zone, and we're all out of multi-universe collabs.